Hi, it's me, Vestibular, Sensory Investigator. I'm back to give you a chance to practice being a sensory investigator yourself. Being a sensory investigator isn't hard, but it's not all about wearing a cool hat or even being followed around by music everywhere you go. It's not even about being filmed in black and white. Word on the street is that you'd like to be a sensory investigator too. And you've watched the first part of the video. You have watched it, right? Because if you haven't, you probably should. Assuming you have, watched it that is, stick around, because this is the part where you get to practice applying what you've learned by watching an actual preschooler. For our sensory investigator practice today, we're going to start with case file 001, JB. I first met JB in his backyard. He's an engaging little fella who likes playing ball and doing lots of other things 3-year-olds enjoy. His mother told me he likes to stay very neat and clean. He was happy to pick dandelions, but he got upset if dandelion fluff touched him. He was interested in the idea of gardening until he heard it involved getting his hands dirty. He eventually agreed to touch the dirt with a spoon, but he wasn't even crazy about that. My sensory investigator senses tingled, so a little while later I invited JB and his mum back to our offices. We put out a basket of toys which provide a lot of light touch input and asked him to check them out. Watch what happened.
What else do you find in there? Can you stretch them way out? Or squish them into a ball? What else? Oh, this one is a lion with a long tongue.
This.
Let's take one at a time.
This.
Oh,
I'm done with
you're done with that?
Yeah.
Let's see what else you have in there.
this.
Can you find the little ones?
That's this.
Oh, what's that?
I'm done with this.
You're done with this. Okay, let's...
Why do you think JB was saying, "I'm done with that"? Was he finding the toys boring? Was he just being uncooperative? My observational skills led me to believe that wasn't it. There was something about those toys that he didn't like. Put on your sensory investigator hat, by which I mean pay attention to the sensory information that he's being exposed to, and let's watch it again.
You want to try that one, hey? Whoa! Ah! What else do you find in there? Stretch them way out? Or squish them into a ball? What else? Oh, this one is a lion with a long tongue.
This.
Let's take one at a time.
This.
Oh,
I'm done with
you're done with that?
Yeah.
Let's see what else you have in there.
this.
Can you find the little ones?
That's this.
Oh, what's that?
I'm done with this.
You're done with this. Okay, let's...
Now, keep your sensory investigator hat on, and let's watch what happens when we bring out some shaving cream on a tray for him to play with.
Can you smooth it out? We've got towels we'll clean up with after. How much can you spread it out? Would you like me to clean it off?
Yeah.
There we go. Can you put a handprint in here? Oh, here. Yeah. You can clean it off.
There's a dry cloth behind you.
I don't want that.
Can we do just one handprint and then I'll clean it off?
Yeah.
Okay, you stick your hand in once and then we will wipe it off right away, I promise. I will wipe mine off too. Can you put your hand in one? Can you put your hand in one time and then we will clean it off right away? I have the cloth right here. It's ready for you. Or how about one finger?
Rosa, put your handprint. Put your hand in there. Put your hand in. Like that.
Would you like to try?
Come on, do it.
Oh, good work.
Try.
There you go. Should we try with a paintbrush?
No.
Or a pencil? Then you don't have to touch it.
You can color it.
Here, you can color in there with it and you don't even have to touch it. Ooh, good drawing. Do you want to sit back down? You can sit down. You could make a fish print. I'm gonna draw with my finger big circles. Ah! You erased it. God. Here's some other things to draw. Oh. Yeah, here, we'll spread this out. We'll go like this. Can you draw in there? Try with one of the other ones and then you can have this one back. Here. Yeah. Let's draw circles. Good lines. Can you go sideways, back and forth? Oh, it got dirty. Here, do you want this one? There you go.
I'm done with this.
Do you want to try one more with the yellow one? It's nice and clean.
I'm done.
You're done? Okay. Okay. Are your hands clean? Do you need the towel still or are you done?
I'm done.
Good.
I don't need to be wearing a hat to see that he didn't want to touch that shaving cream. He didn't even want to touch it with a stick. Now, let's see what happened when we brought out a bin of flax for him to play with.
What's this?
It's flax.
Yeah.
Flax, yeah, they're seeds.
A seed?
Yeah.
Notice how he was very careful at first, but now is getting into it quite quickly? Also, notice how he's pushing down hard on the bottom of the container. When he does that, he's giving himself proprioceptive or deep pressure input. Next, we brought out some baby powder to see how he enjoyed playing with that.
Can we do lines? Oh, big sigh. That's lots of swirls. Oh, there's your knuckles. Good. Should we erase that and start again? Oh, big handprint. There you go.
That's a big. That's a big.
Yeah, and look at the piles you made at the end.
So what did you see? I noticed that he really didn't like the tactile toys. He really didn't like touching the shaving cream, and he especially didn't like that it was hard to clean off his hands. He was cautious with the flax, but he was willing to try it, and he came to really enjoy it. Also, I noticed he gave himself lots of deep pressure, proprioceptive input by pushing down hard on the bottom of the flax bin, and again while playing with the baby powder, both by pushing hard on the tray and again while clapping the baby powder off his hands. Putting all this together with his reactions to gardening and dandelion fluff, I'd be tempted to say that JB is a little extra sensitive to tactile or touch input, especially light touch. He avoids touch input that he finds too stressful or unpleasant. When JB does explore light touch sensations, he likes it to be the kind that keeps his hands clean and dry, and he naturally incorporates deep pressure into his play, which might be helping him to tolerate the light touch of the flax and the baby powder. JB is just a regular kid. He hadn't been flagged as having any sensory sensitivities or sensory problems, and his mom hadn't identified any problems with his regular 3-year-old self-care and play activities. As such, we could say that JB has a sensory preference, and his particular sensory preferences don't cause him any problems because his mom has learned that he's a kid who likes to stay clean, and she's the same way herself. So she finds it easy to accommodate to his style and anticipate what his reactions might be. Now, if JB had a mother who enjoys getting her hands messy, or who expects children to enjoy having messy hands, it might have taken her longer to understand what JB's sensory preferences were, and both of them might have gotten frustrated more often. Everybody in the world has sensory preferences. We may not be aware of them, but we have them. I prefer to wear a hat or have a belt tied tightly around my waist. The deep pressure helps me feel calm and together, especially when I'm talking to the camera. But if I take off the hat, I can still keep talking to you. Children with sensory processing disorders or severe sensory challenges will not be able to cope as calmly and politely with changes as JB and I can. The challenges that these children face go far beyond the preferences that most of us experience. However, becoming aware of your sensory preferences is still a great way to train yourself to be a sensory investigator. To investigate your own sensory preferences, check out my sensory preference checklist. Becoming aware of your child's or your own sensory preferences and challenges is not an excuse or permission for bad behavior. Rather, it's a valuable tool for you and your child. JB is a great example of a child who has some strong sensory preferences, but is still generally able to behave well while avoiding those sensory experiences that he finds too stressful or unpleasant. Children with more severe sensory processing challenges experience the world entirely differently than most children and adults do. Until you can understand how they're experiencing the sensory environment, it's hard to understand why they behave the way that they do. Therefore, it's very important to seek out the professional assessment and intervention of an occupational therapist or OT. OTs are not only able to help you with identifying your child's particular sensory challenges and devise coping strategies, but they can also, using sensory processing rehabilitation techniques, help many children become better able to deal with the sensations that they find challenging. I can tell by this music that we've come to the end of this part of the video. If you have additional questions, please talk to your local occupational therapist. You can also check out the glossary of terms, my sensory preference checklist, the suggested reading list, and of course, re-watch any part of this video as often as you'd like.